copy of these slides, especially those who are in the back. If you're unable to see these slides, or maybe you guys can come front. We have more seats over here. Please come front. Okay, so this program is basically to provide you with the research skills. Okay, when you go to KGH, I'm pretty sure you already know that the doctors in KGH, they don't have time to teach you research skills, right? Basically, you'll be running around with them. You'll be running along with them and collecting the cases about the patients, and they'll be dictating probably, and then you'll be busy writing notes. That's it. But that's not pharmaceutical scientist. Okay? That's more like a high school kid job, where you're just blindly writing things. There's something called medical coding. Has anyone heard about the medical coding? What is it? Basically, you'll be hearing to some recording from a doctor in the United States, and you'll be writing it down. You'll be preparing a chart, right? So tell me, what is the difference between this medical coding and your internship at KGH? Is there any difference? No. You're basically doing medical coding job. If you're going to the KGH and writing down things when the doctor is dictating, right? The medical coding jobs are actually done by people who are finished with their intermediate and degree. Basic requirement for doing medical coding is what? Completion of 10+2, or maybe BSc, Darwin B Pharm, BSc, or BA, BCom. If you can understand English and write English, you have a medical coding job. But is that what you want with your MPharm and PharmD? Obviously not, right? So, you need to get these research skills. These are very important because some of you might be going abroad after you finish your MPharm or after you finish your PharmD. You might be going to the United States. And if you go there and if you don't know any research skills, then you're back to square one, right? You have to learn everything from the basics. So that's why we're trying to bring those standards. I'm trained in the US. My master's and PhD are from the US. So I've been in the system for a while, and so I'm bringing those standards to India so that you don't have to worry about it. So you learn this international standards here, and then if you decide to go abroad, you're actually prepared, right? You don't have to start from the beginning, right? So we focus on both the clinical and basic pharmaceutical sciences because research has two aspects, clinical research and basic research. When you go and talk to the patient will give you some symptoms, and the doctor will tell you what medications were prescribed, right? So that is clinical data. But if you want to do some research beyond that, you need to know things at the molecular level. You need to understand the pathophysiology of the disease. You need to know what the pharmacology of the drugs are and the toxicology of the drugs are, and how you can improve those things, right? So for example, remdesivir is commonly used for COVID-19 treatment. What if the virus is resistant to remdesivir? What are you going to write in your report? As a pharmaceutical scientist, will you be satisfied if you wrote a report saying that this patient failed remdesivir, so he died? Would that be satisfying for you? So if you're a real pharmaceutical scientist, what you should be doing is, okay, if this is not working for the patient, go to the lab and find out, do your own research and see why. Answer that question, why. And if possible, come up with an answer, and that's a patent for you. That's a new patent. You file for the patent. Vice Chancellor's office is ready with the money. They're giving away money for you to file patents. Okay? But if you're writing the report saying that this guy took remdesivir but didn't work, so he died, the Vice Chancellor cannot do anything. Do you agree? Right, so I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, right? Okay. So, as mentioned here, all the projects that we work on, so as a part of the scientist program, we'll be working on projects, and all the projects are mainly focused on novelty, patents, and startups. So if you have a new idea, if you find out the reason why remdesivir is not working for the patients, then you actually describe the detailed mechanism, and you can discover a new drug. to get over that resistance. So you have a new patent and you can actually start your own company, right? So you will be the CEO of your own company. You don't have to go work for somebody else. You actually can give jobs to other people. You don't need a job anymore, right? So, and we are in the process of establishing collaborations with the KGH, Andhra Medical College, Gandhi Cancer Hospital, NRA Hospital, all the hospitals around the city in Visakhapatnam, so that you have access through our program to go to various hospitals, get access to the clinical data. So you'll be doing clinical research and basic research, right? So the research is two types, clinical research and basic research. So the data that you're getting from the hospital is the clinical. But when you come to the lab, that's where you have to do basic research, where you deal with DNA, RNA, proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, okay? Or organic chemistry, small molecules, all that. That's basic science. Okay, so, and we, as it was already mentioned in the introduction, we have collaborations with various labs around the world. So you could be part of those international collaborations. So just to give you an idea, we also have guest lectures from people that are working in US FDA. So I'm sure you guys know what FDA is, right? Food and Drug Administration. What does it do? Do they sell candies and ice creams? No? What do they sell? Do they sell anything? Do they sell saris? No? Are you sure? They're the ones who regulate the release of new drugs. Anytime a company comes up with a new drug, FDA is the one that does the testing, and it has to give the permission before the drug hits the market. So it's a regulatory agency of US federal government. So we have guest lectures from people from FDA and Health Canada. So Health Canada is the federal government of Canadian subcontinent. And also the US Pharmacopoeia. How many of you know what is US Pharmacopoeia? USP. You know what is USP, right? What is USP? 100 milligrams, 500 milligrams, 2 milligrams, 1 milligram. What is this? That's a US Pharmacopoeia that determines how many milligrams of each component you have to have in your pills. Pills as in tablets, right? So we have people directly from US Pharmacopoeia, FDA, and Health Canada that do the guest lectures online, okay? So there are two parts of this program. So the first part is for people who don't have strong foundation. So you know, some people they may complete their PharmD, they may complete their MPharm, but they may still feel that they don't have strong subject. So in part one, which is for 6 months, we take you through all the basics that you require. And when I say we take you through all the basics, I meant only lab skills. I'm not going to waste my time teaching you theory, because that's something that you can read in the textbooks or you can watch it on the video, YouTube videos. Everything is available in the YouTube videos these days. I don't have to bore you, waste your time. Yeah? So part one, 95% of it is practicals, lab. So you'll be doing things in the lab. And every now and then, if there is a new concept that you need to learn, then we do some theory. Okay? So it will be hands-on. So as you can see, there are multiple things, and most of them are familiar to you. I'm going to share the slides, okay? So part two is where you will be doing the actual research. Yeah, so part two is where you'll be doing research. So during this part two, you'll be going to different hospitals, getting clinical data, and you'll be coming back. So for example, let's say 9 o'clock in the morning, you go to KGH. You work with the doctor, get some clinical data, whatever you're trying to get from there. Go home, have lunch, and then 2 p.m., come to the lab. Okay, sit down and think what that data means. Do research. We'll provide you all the things that you need. Okay, all the instrumentation, the support, as in guidance. I have 20 years of experience with biomedical research, primarily in drug discovery. Okay, I've designed several drugs, and we have one of the drugs that gets $20 million in royalty in the United States right now. So getting $20 million royalty is pretty good. Think about it. It's 6 zeros after 20. And that's US dollars. And you can multiply that with what? 75 these days? You do the math. Okay? You can do that if you spend half day in the hospital and half day in the lab. If I could do that, you can do that too. I didn't have proper support in India, so I had to go abroad. But I am bringing you that technology and that guidance for you. So you can do that sitting in India. You don't have to go to the US for doing that. Of course, if you want to go, you can go. But what I'm saying is, we didn't have that opportunity of people coming from the United States and telling us how to do things. You do. Like the Vice Chancellor always says, take advantage of the experience of the professors. You have so many professors in Andhra University. I am a visiting professor of Andhra University. So you take advantage of my experience. So you don't have to go through all the hurdles that I had to go through 20 years ago. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. So the part 2 is primarily in, So part 2 will be primarily project oriented. So you have to pick a project. It could be infectious diseases, it could be cancer, it could be metabolic disorders, it could be anything. It's out of your own interest. So based on that, we train you in the project, the skills that you need, including how to do the experiments, how to design the experiments, how to acquire the data, and how to analyze the data. Data analysis is also equally important. Okay, designing the experiment is one thing. Doing the experiment and analyzing the data is very important, because if you do a cutting-edge experiment and if you don't know how to do the data analysis, you wasted your time. Do you agree? Data analysis is very important. So we train you in all those things. So those who feel comfortable going directly for the project, you can skip part 1. You don't have to go through part 1. You can go directly to part 2. But we will conduct a small exam or maybe an interview kind of thing. You have to go through that. Okay? And if you are selected, then you can directly go for part 2. In part 2, you'll be doing clinical research. And sometimes it could be translational research. Does anyone know what is translational research? What is translational research? Did you ever hear bench to bedside? Bench to bedside. So bench is the bench in your lab where you're doing your experiments. Bedside is actually the bed on which you have a patient in the hospital. So translational research is basically you discover a new drug or you design a new drug in your lab and take it directly to the patient. So that is translational research. Okay? So in the past, it used to take about 10 years, 15 years to design one drug. But these days, a lot of things are automated, which means you can design drugs much faster. There's so many computational softwares that are available, right? So how many of you actually designed a drug in your life so far? Raise your hands. Why? Okay, so when can you file for a patent? Can you take this chair and file for a patent about this chair? No, because somebody already did 100 years ago. So what do you need for you to file for a patent? Novelty, newness, right? It should be completely new, right? So you need novelty. So if you cannot design a drug, you cannot get a patent. Or if you cannot design a therapeutic, or if you cannot design something that could be used directly for the patients, then you cannot file for patents, right? So we train you in that. how to focus on novelty, how to design your research towards novelty, and how to file for a new patent. See, the Vice Chancellor's office is ready to give you the money. They have a special fund. They want to pay the fee, the lawyer fee. They are going to pay the lawyer fee, so you don't have to spend one paisa, okay? You're not spending one paisa. All you have to do is come up with some novelty, come up with an idea that you can patent, that's all. That is what they're asking for. Okay, you should be glad that we have such a energetic Vice Chancellor. So he'll probably coming here this afternoon, right? So VC is coming this afternoon, right? Yeah. So please take advantage of that. So he is willing to give you the money to file for the patent. We are here on the campus to train you how to think novel, how to get an idea, and we are happy to train you, guide you through the entire process. Okay? So without any further delay, I think it's already lunch program. So I've given you a QR code. So those of you who are interested in this program, please scan the QR code, and that takes you to a WhatsApp group. So you can join the WhatsApp group, and then we'll have a discussion, and then you can decide whether you would like to join the program or not. And also please talk to your professors in the pharmacy and make sure that you take their permissions, because I don't want you to do something against the rules. Okay? Because if you are in pharmacy program or PharmD program, you have to follow your timetable, right? You have classes, you have labs. So make sure that you cover everything. Okay, so take their permissions, and then we can discuss. But if you're interested in this program, please use that QR code and join the WhatsApp group. And also, if you have any questions, you can contact me. You can call me or WhatsApp me at the number, or you can send an email, or you can check us out online. There's a website. Okay? So with that, I think I'm going to stop. Any questions? Anybody? Thank you.